Hi, everybody, and welcome to our weekly session. And we've got the amazing Carol and Marie and Lisa on the call today, three of our experts from the community. So I'm very excited. We're going to have a juicy conversation. One of the things that's really affected me in my life in the last few weeks, and I thought would be super interesting to talk about, is boundaries. Oh, my goodness. Now, my boundaries are normally pretty good, but they've been tested over the last few weeks, and my health started to deteriorate. My stress levels started to go up because people were putting me in a position where I was having to really lovingly but firmly reinforce my boundaries. And it's all very good in theory saying that you're going to do it, and it's all good, over the years when you've done it. But when it comes up into your experience again, it can be a little bit confronting, especially if you've got other things in your lives as well. So, ladies, I really want to open this up because I feel like in order to create any level of inner peace, we need strong boundaries. And that looks very different for different people. Some people are like really, really good at doing it. Some people are not. I would have said that I'm really good at enforcing boundaries. Oof, but I got involved in a couple of situations over the last couple of weeks where I felt like my boundaries were slipping, and that had a massive detrimental effect on my inner centeredness, how I felt, how I was eating, how I was like my hydration levels. It really impacted me in every way. And that's what came up for me this morning, is just how essential boundaries are to self-care. So would anybody like to jump in and just speak on that?
I think I'm just going to say something here because that summed up for me when you said that. The first thing that I thought of when you said boundaries is actually also for myself. There's one thing where you set boundaries for other people, how much you allow them into your life and when and what feels healthy. And I'm always very big on, well, how do you feel after spending time with this person? Do you feel elevated? Great. Do you not? Do you feel deflated? Maybe don't spend as much time or any at all. There's that one thing that I find very, very important to continuously do in life, but the boundaries for myself as well, perfect scenario that some people or all of you can relate to is like scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on, oh, there's a notification, I quickly do this, do that. That to me falls into the category of setting boundaries, that when I'm focused on something, when I want to do something, for example, recording the next contribution to the summit for the Backyard Peace Project, I'm like, okay, this is me right now, setting boundaries, switching everything else off. My phone is off, this is off. I don't want any notification to come in. I need to focus, I need to be present. And that to me is really, really important when I go through my day, because I'm wearing so many different hats in my own business as well as my personal life, being a sole parent, etc., to really look after myself when I'm present, who I'm present with, what I'm present with, and make sure that I stay present. And that's not always easy. It sounds so, completely, well, you record something, you sit down, you do it. But then there is, oh, a notification. Oh, quickly just check this message before I do that. Oh, quickly just. And when I work from home, oh, I quickly just put the washing on before I do that. And, I'm like, no, compartmentalizing boundaries. Now do this. I need to be present. And that's a really, really big one for me. It sounds so easy, yet it's still work in progress. So I'm going to start with that. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, Carol, what do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think that for me, I look at how do I feel about certain situations. So having a boundary is not all. Obviously there's certain things that are like absolute concrete. I won't be spoken to in a certain way, or I don't like allow disrespect and things like that. So those are really concrete boundaries. But there's others that are really flexible as well. So it's going to depend on, yeah, sometimes I would help somebody out more than what I'd normally say. Oh, I don't feel, that I think I'm giving more, but under this circumstance, it feels the right thing to do. And it allows me to be flexible within myself. But if I get to the point where you're over giving at the expense of yourself, then you've stepped over your boundary. So sometimes it might feel really, really good to say yes to somebody because they really need it. It's probably more than what you would like to give, but you just know it's the person who they would do that for you. You would help them, you would support them. And yet somebody else might ask that of you and you'd go no, because it's not that relationship or it's not the right environment or you just don't have it to give. So it's about honoring yourself and
Mm.
I
listening to
love that.
yourself
Yeah, I
I
love
rather
it
love
too.
than
that.
I just do this. Because I think with some people in their brains and the way that they're thinking, if they're not used to thinking about boundaries, they'll think about putting a boundary in and then that's it. And sometimes we do have to be flexible around, meeting people's needs, supporting people, but then we have to make sure that we're honoring ourselves in that process. That's where I come from.
Yeah, I love that, Carol and Marie, but both I resonated with what we both said there. I know Lisa's troubled with a bit of background noise at the moment. Somebody has turned on a massive machine in the background, so we'll wait till she's found a quiet spot. But interestingly, I was talking to Diane Ferguson. I was interviewing her for the Backyard Peace Project Accidentally Inspiring podcast. And her big thing is intuition, like stripping everything away so that it's really reconnecting people to their intuition. And what was coming through for me with when both of you were speaking was the intuition, because I related so much to what we both were saying. Like with Marie, sometimes I'm self-sabotaging when I'm scrolling. I actually know that I'm tired. And it's like, am I trying to buy myself some free time here because I've been so busy? Am I trying to delay tomorrow? Like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm consciously aware, like I'm watching myself. What am I doing? And so that awareness is really, really powerful. But also with Carol, I agree like 100%. And like, even with my children, like, obviously it kind of normally is like a no-brainer for the kids. It's like, of course I'm going to show up and support you because I'm your mum. But there are also times when you're like, actually, you've kind of got yourself into this situation and you can kind of learn some lessons from this. And my cup runneth empty at this particular moment in time. And so I'm going to teach you how to enforce your future self-care and future boundaries by saying, I'm not going to do that because I'm actually really tired and I need to rest really deeply now. And so you have created this situation, and now lovingly you can uncreate it or work through it. And so I think that there's all this obligation on us as caregivers, as nurturers, as women, to feel obliged, right? And I've literally had this conversation over the last couple of weeks. I've got a relationship where I feel obliged. And I was so cool. I was on the phone to a dear friend of mine in America this morning, and we were discussing this issue. And she said to me something quite profound. She said, Cathy, she said, go into the world and share your bright light where it can be received. She said, at the moment, she said, you're sharing your light in areas where it's not being received. And therefore, the energy and the focus and the intention and the time that you're putting into it, it's wasted. It's not doing anything. It's not charging anybody up. It's not charging you up. It's not. She said, you need to be turning away from that and sharing all of that light in a place that it can be received. And I thought, wow, that's really quite interesting and profound. And I feel like we do sometimes fall into this habit of sharing so much of our lights with people that actually aren't in a place that can receive it. And that's an interesting concept to me, because then we become, as Carol said, a little bit more flexible in our approach, where we're not always saying no and we're not always saying yes. Like, it's really about that deep dive into self.
Yeah, I want to say something, what you just said, Cathy, that this is so, to me, it's really profound, that whole my cup runneth empty, and I believe that especially as moms, we can so relate to that, where we give and give and give and give. And because it's our children, we want to show up, we want to be there. But first of all, often we don't teach them anything by constantly picking them up if they don't do it on their own. And secondly, I heard the most beautiful quote, and I remember doing a meme about it and sharing it. And I believe it was Lisa Nichols, but I can't remember. So I don't want to give credit to her if it's not. But anyway, the quote was that you always share from the part that's overfilling your cup. And I'm like, oh, I love that. So always having your cup full, and when it's overflowing, that's from where you share. And I don't know the exact words, but that was the concept. And I really love that. I thought, it is really coming back to, you know, oxygen masks first. It is that concept that took me a long time to understand, because I am such a mama bear and I always want to be there for them and always want to do everything right and support them. Yet if I don't look after myself, not only will my cup run empty, but our kids learn from what they see, not from what we say. You know, it really
Exactly.
is. We have to do that. And I became quite, attached to my self-love and self-care, because it is so important for all of us that I live that.
Totally. I mean, Lisa, this is your jam, because Lisa
Mhm.
works in the parenting area, so you were not to weigh in here.
Yeah, I love just hearing what you said. Sorry, my internet's not the best where I am today, and I also
can
have
hear you.
a loud piece of machinery outside my window at the moment, unlike of all timing. But yes, very true. We need to fill our cup, and so we can actually give to our children, and be the best version of ourselves. So, and so often as mums, we don't. We sort of prioritize our children and their needs and put them at the top. And then we're sort of like, we give us what's left, and often it's not very much. Yeah. So definitely setting boundaries for ourselves is a huge one.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then you often go into this space of, you know, like that you actually complain about that they treat you like, you know, the last priority or whatever, but you are the one actually teaching them that. You make yourself the last priority, and then you bring it back to them. You're like, okay, so where do they get it from? You know, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not yourself.
Yeah. And it's the conversations that we have as well, because I sat my guys down the other day and I just said, hey, this is not cool. This is just not cool, guys. Do you know what I mean? And I just said, I really don't ask for a lot. What you do agree to, I'd appreciate you actually did. Not me chasing you, not me, because that's so much energy, right? It's so much energy and focus and mental capacity. I mean, I've got like 99 million tabs open at once at the moment because of everything we're building together. And I can't. I'm lucky if I remember to ask the first time. And then when they come and say, Mum, what did you? I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to dig into the files. I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? And I was just saying to them, I said, look, hey, I don't feel much different inside than I did when I was your age. It's just that I've got heaps more responsibility. I've got more people to look after. I've got, you know, duties and all of those things. And I said, guys, I mean, no offense to anybody that actually feels this way, but I don't jump out of bed in the morning going, can't wait to feed the cats. Can't wait to put that first load of washing on. Do you know what I mean? Can't wait to clear up the kitchen and get, you know, I don't jump out of bed going, this is what I trained all those years at university for. Do you mean I love doing it to a sense that they're my family. I love them. I want to take care of them. I want to nurture them. Of course I do. But at the same time, it doesn't light me up. Right. I mean, as soon as I've, you know, hit that next threshold of finance, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm getting a chef, I'm getting a housekeeper, and I'm getting a gardener. And I will live the life of an average man, right? Because I have to hit that point to get these 3 people in to replace what I do on top of running a business. And that side of it, like, you can imagine the amount of washing we have, and I've got it to a fine art. Like it's a constant service. It's always going. And at the time that I'm feeling resentful about the washing, I think, aren't I lucky I've got children to fold washing for? Okay, so we're really bringing it back to, hang on a minute, let's be in the moment. Let's think, if I didn't have these clothes to launder and fold and put away, what would that mean for my life? That means I wouldn't have my kids. And that means I'd be very sad, because I love having these people in my life. So I think it's as well catching ourselves in a moment where we can be present and just, you know, say, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed here. I'm projecting it onto the washing, which hasn't done anything to me. And I'm just going to bring myself back to the moment and go back into gratitude and restart from there.
Let's get out of overwhelm and dip back into gratitude. I love that. I love that because, you know,
Mm.
I don't know if anybody else has seen this. I found it so brilliant. And it was this life-changing, whoa moment for me. It was this lady in a podcast interview with Mel Robbins, and she talked about this cycle of washing. Has anybody seen that? Well, in
No,
a
I haven't seen
nutshell,
that.
it was that like we so often, it was such a perfect analogy. We so often try to catch up, and there's the washing, and now I've put the last load on, and then this, and then it's folded and it's put away, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's all that washing again. And it's like, it's not something to be done and ticked and you're done with. It's a cycle. There is always washing in the basket. There is always washing in a machine. There's always washing in a dryer or on the line, and there's always washing to be folded and always washing in the cupboard. It's a cycle. All of that will happen continuously throughout our lives. And we just need to make sure that we keep that cycle going. There is not, oh, tick, I'm done. And then, you know, it builds up and it's down, it's up and it's down. It's like, no, it's an ongoing. There'll always be washing everywhere. And I thought that was such a brilliant analogy. It was really mind blowing, such a simple thing.
Mm.
And also that moment of acceptance. Oh, yeah, it's normal to have washing there and washing there, and washing to be folded and washing to be washed. And I'm like, brilliant. I love it. It was such a simple analogy and really quite mind blowing. I sent it to all of my friends and they were all like, ooh.
I think as well, you know, it's about, and we've all spoken to this at some point in this conversation with the boundaries thing, and that those self boundaries that you were talking about, Marie. Now, I've done things in the last couple of years that I never thought I would do. So as I've built my business to bigger and better and bigger and better, and now, as we know, it's so exciting. There's so much things happening. It's amazing. It's going to explode, which is fantastic. But as I was building it, I had to learn to put some pieces down. Okay. So the house is hygienically clean. It's relatively tidy. You can see people live here. I keep on top of the washing every day because it's just easier for me. It's my choice. I'd rather do that than do it at the end of the week. That's a choice. But within that, there are also choices. And I had a podcast with Simone O'Brien this week, which, guys, you've got to watch it. Like,
she's amazing. Yeah.
I can't even describe to you, like, you're going to have to watch the episode. But we were talking about choice. There's always a choice. And her choice was so powerful, you know, having survived what she survived. And what I'm saying is not as dramatic as that, but there are times when I will, you know, I'll have my glass of water to go to bed. I'm so tired. I've had an amazing day. I feel really grateful. I feel like I could cry. I'm so grateful, but I'm also like totally wiped. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I could do another 12 hours without sleep, I'd love to, because I love what I do, but I'm so tired. And I'll walk around the house and I'll be like, that needs doing, that needs putting away, that needs putting on. The kitchen hasn't been done. This hasn't been done, that hasn't been done. But I know that if I don't go to bed now and catch this moment of tiredness, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to be in and out of sleep all night. I'm going to have a restless night. I'm going to be no good tomorrow. So I walk away from it. I walk away from it because I'd rather get up in the morning, because I'm better in the mornings. I'd rather get up at 4:30. And I'm not suggesting everybody do that. That's my jam. I don't mind getting up between 4:30 and 5:30. That's fine with me.
Well,
but I really struggle to stay up late. That I'm a morning person. So for me, I'd rather say at 7:00 at night, I'm done. I have nothing left to give. I have fed them. Their uniform's ready for tomorrow, all the things. And I will walk away and go to sleep and replenish, and I'll deal with it in the morning. And I never thought I would be able to do that because of the expectations of my elders growing up, that the house had to be spotless when you went to bed, right? Well, I had to put those down because my elders weren't running a business. My elders weren't, didn't have a husband who works 7 hours away for 3 weeks out of 4, right? So I've had to let go of that conditioning, that programming, to go, I need to sleep now. I'm going to be my own parent. I'm going to tuck myself into bed because I know what's best. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Because as you said, Marie, it's a cycle. It's always going to be a cycle. So how we dance with it is totally up to us.
I love that you use the word dance. Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Awesome. So what I'm going to ask you to do, thank you so much for this conversation, number one. Number two, I would give your top tip for boundaries being able to be inserted into our lives today, that are maybe seem simplistic, but are actually profound. So we'll start with Lisa, just in case your machine starts exploding in the background.
So sorry, you said 3 tips, was it?
Just one each.
Oh, 1 each around boundaries. Mine is a little bit like you, Cathy. I do get up early. I never used to be that way, but having my own business and my children now are raised and they've left the nest. So I am in a place where it's just me really and my partner and my dog. But getting up early for me has always meant that I've had my own time. And in that time, it allows me to do a lot of reflection and looking at the day ahead, the week ahead, and also being able to set myself up with the energy that I require for that day or week ahead. So that's my biggest tip as a mum, is being able to allow yourself that time and that space. And so whether it is early in the morning or sometime throughout the day, wherever it suits for each and every person, it's what has to work for you. But yeah, that's mine for me, is in the morning.
And there's so much power in that intention, Lisa, on how your day unfolds. I believe, like, if you start with an intention and really start planning things out, there is so much power in that. And I've been actively making sure I do that, because I can wake up and suddenly go into, I've got to respond to that email, I've got to, and I'm like, hang on a minute, whoa, take a breath. Today's going to be a good day. Let's start there. Today's going to be a good day. Everything's going to flow beautifully. Everything's going to happen as it should.
Because we can
and
fall
catch
into
yourself.
that trap. We can fall into that trap where as soon as we get up out of bed, it's like go, 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 go. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I find that if you give yourself that time, it's more productive for you as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, I'm always nervous opening my bedroom door, because the cats throw themselves in front of my legs and try to kill me until I feed them. So I always feel like unsafe for the first 10 minutes of my day until I fed the cats. I'm like, fine, thank God for that. You know, they're all like, but they come from nowhere. You're like walking and you nearly kick them across the room because they're like, woo, woo. And you're like, stop. Oh my God. Carol, what's your takeaway?
Well, I think one of the things I realized myself over time is that, you know, when you're sitting there and you're feeling like you're doing something and you're feeling resentful inside, so you recognize the feeling that you're doing something and then you're getting angry at other people. So sit down and maybe just do a bit of a brain dump about what those things are, and then really ask yourself honestly, are they just taking the out of you,
Mickey,
because you're letting them, and actually look at starting to go, well, I'm like this, how can I extend my boundaries? So just look at how you can start to give back those tasks to other people that should be stepping up to do them themselves, especially if the kids are getting older, things like that. So, you know, I've had quite a few people, women that have come in and said, my brain's just so full, I've got to think of everything for everybody, and I've got to keep reminding my kids to do this basic self-care, and I'm sick of telling them, and if I don't do it, they won't do it. And then it's like, well, are you doing this, or is they doing this to you? And I recognize that maybe there's another way of going about it. Maybe it's something you can hand back so that you don't have to carry that mental load, and you can just start by extending your boundaries of what you accept and what you don't accept. Because my boundaries was absolutely non-existent many years ago. But it was never that huge a leap. It was always a case of, okay, so maybe I don't have to put your laundry away like you're a 5-year-old, you know, that sort of thing, and actually start going, no, I'm not doing that. And then just saying, hey, this is your job from now on, or you choose a job that you want to do and let's work on, and just keep communicating with people to let them know that, you know, that these things are changing in a way that's compassionate and kind, so that they feel empowered to step up, and you stop saving them and then telling yourself, you know, poor me. Poor me. Everybody puts on me, and then you're like, oh, well, actually,
what I love about what you said, Carol, is the times where I have started to feel resentful, and not just with my kids, like with any situation in my life, the time that I have started to feel resentful and angry, with some self-reflection, I'm angry with myself.
Yeah.
You know, because I've let it slide, or I haven't asserted my boundary. And I think with some cases, and I feel like this is it's true for a lot of women, it's the setting up of the new systems.
Yes.
It's having the energy, the bandwidth, the time, the patience to set up the new systems, to take some of it off of you, can feel as overwhelming as just doing it.
Oh, yes.
That's why you choose one small thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
One
yeah, and
small
that's
thing,
it.
and just start with that. Crack that. And then that's one thing off your mental load, isn't it?
Yeah,
Actually,
totally.
it's difficult to begin with. You're going through that change process, but then you get through that and you're like, oh, that feels better. I don't have to think about that anymore. This is just happening. Then choose something else. Don't feel like you have to change everything all at once. It's that step by step, chunk by chunk. What they say, how do you eat an elephant? Chunk by bite. It's that analogy,
One bite
isn't
at
it?
a
You just
time,
don't
yeah.
feel like you have to do it all, because then we get
And that's it.
overwhelmed, and everybody
Yeah.
else they start getting upset because they're asked to do things and they've got busy lives. I can't do it. I haven't got time for this, and it just gets into a battle. So choose one small thing, nail it, feel successful, and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, so good. So good. And Marie?
I was just taking notes listening to Carol and Lisa, and I'm like, okay, the power of intention. Yes, I know this, and I needed to hear the reminder, and I needed to write it down. It really is. I agree with you, Carol, what you just said. You know, it's often those little things. And for me, I really feel that not waiting for you dipping into overwhelm or falling into overwhelm. It's like, do those mini audits every single day. You know, I catch up with a friend. How do I feel afterwards? That's what I said before. You know, do I feel better? Do I feel elevated, or do I feel drained? And really find a healthy and compassionate way to really cut those situations out of your life. You know, I often feel like, because of the way I grew up, we moved around a lot. I stayed in touch with a lot of people, and I've collected them over the years. I've got a huge amount of people in my life. Yet are they all like really close friends? Do I really enjoy spending time with all of them? I feel it every time I go to Austria. There's so many people who want to see us, and then I come back after 5 weeks holiday and I'm drained beyond measure. And every single person I do want to see, yet it comes back to, okay, how would I like this day, like you said, Lisa, you know, just have this intention. How would I like my day to pan out? Who am I catching up with today? And then also going to, did that actually elevate me? Did I actually enjoy that? Or maybe even feel into it beforehand. If you already know that's going to be so draining, why do you even go ahead? You know? So for me, there is this intention, what we just said before. What do I get out of that? Not in a selfish way, but why am I actually doing it? Why am I dragging myself to something where I already know it's going to be draining? If there is something that I get out of that because I needed that connection, or I needed to hear that, or I really wanted to spend time with that person but didn't really want to see the other person, it was a group meeting, just be very clear on that. Be intentional on that. That's part of the boundary setting. And if you still feel like, yeah, you know, it's worth it, I want to go ahead, do it. And if you realize, oh, actually, let's just set this up differently. I can just catch up with that person that I really want to see, and then I'll feel elevated and I get something out of it. And I think it will have a knock-on effect on everybody around you as well. If you feel drained, maybe chances are that other people walk away from that drained too. So there's often that expectation, but I should, or we should stay friends, or our kids went to school together, can't possibly cut him or her out of my life. Well, just, you know, coming back to what you said before, Lisa, being intentional with your time, with your energy, because everyone around you, as well as yourself, will benefit from that.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. My takeaway from this is more around the self boundaries that you were talking about at the beginning, Marie. So for me, I absolutely love what I do. I think everybody knows that. Don't start me talking about it, because you know I'll keep talking about it. And but however, I have to be super aware, because I will work until I fall down. And there's been times when I really, really wanted to get 11 things done that night, but my eyes are so sore from looking at the screen. So my body feels fine. I've got the energy, I've got the intention, but my eyes are like, I cannot take in any more information to your brain. I cannot look at another thing. And so having that awareness and that boundary of going, I'm going to stop now and I will do this tomorrow. That's hard for me.
Same.
But this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? We want the longevity. You know, we don't want to build what we want to build and then drop dead. We want to build what we want to build and be in good health and have the energy and have the joy and have the time. And, you know, it's like with my kids, I've been much more intentional because the last 8 weeks have been pretty intense with the launch of the Backyard Peace Project. But there, you know, there's times when I've been aware that my kids are talking to me and I'm like, and I've gone, yes, darling, tell me what you want to tell me. Like, you've got my full attention in this moment. Because it's so easy and also dangerous, because you go, yeah, and they go, yay, and they run off and you go, oh, what did you ask? But no, I love this conversation. That's made my bloody blood pressure go up. But look, this is so important. I'm so glad we talked about it today. So interesting, the different angles that we can come. I mean, boundary sounds pretty straightforward, but there's actually quite a lot of complexity and layers within that. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and discuss this with me. Guys in the community, you can find these experts in our community in the experts section. So go and check them out because they're fantastic and phenomenal people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. And we'll see you next time.